Good morning, everybody. How are you today? What is today? Wednesday? Holy crap. I already started off. Went to the grocery store, loaded up, and my charge cards wouldn't work. It's like, plastic. Oh, I had to run home and, horrible. Gabby, we're going to do this eye for you tomorrow. For your client here. I can tell you, he's got cholesterol, heavy lymphatic problems, cholesterol big time. You see the left kidney, right kidney not so bad, but you see heavy lymphatic problems for sure. And pretty good genes underneath there, here and there, but we'll talk about this one tomorrow. But when you see heavy cholesterol rings in an eye, you definitely want to keep them on upper circulation minimally, if not upper and lower. And the reason is to keep them from stroking. When you see a heavy cholesterol ring in an eye, which is this, I don't know if you see it, we'll show them to tomorrow, it's this thick translucent ring on the outside, that means they're actually plaquing cholesterol. And it's rare for them not to see even elevated blood cholesterol in the blood, but they don't have to and still be plaquing it. And so it's kind of an illusion. Even Deepak Chopra and Dr. Weil, there was, I think, 4 medical doctors wrote an article either in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. I have that somewhere around here. But it was it was just putting down the statins, obviously, and things like that, because they are bull crap. By the time you can have perfect cholesterol in the blood and be plaquing it from a lack of steroids and high acidosis, of course. And so whenever you see something like that, you keep your client, you want to think in advance. You want to say, I don't want my client to stroke or heart attack, so I'm going to keep blood flowing aggressively in the body. So that's just one of the things, because you want to protect your client from harm and all that. I want to read a few of these while I have time this morning. I only have like a half hour, so this is not going to be a long video, but I love you guys, so forgive me. What do we call those? Trolls or whatever? There's an argument or something over glandulars that a gentleman that's being a wholesaler for us, a distributor for us, is had. You know, the sad part about it is we are always seeking purities. But if you've never been in business and you're starting out there, it's difficult to, and especially in the glandular syndromes, to find companies that didn't add, because these are all biochemists, guys. And biochemists and chemists think isolates are fine. No matter, chemistry is chemistry, blah, 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 which profoundly disagree with that. And it's obvious. So, but with that said, the glandulars used to come with some calcium or magnesium or something like that. Most of them already have a little magnesium citrate just for as a powder on the to keep things from sticking and stuff. So there is some things that has to be done, or you don't have access to things. Thanks to a friend of mine who is an Amish naturopath and healer in Indiana, turned me on to the New Zealand's, because me and him like purity as much as we can find out there. And that's the problem. That's what drove me to make these formulas in the first place, is one, lack of quality, although there's some good quality companies out there. No question about that. Guy Herbs are okay, Herbs Etc. There's some good herbal companies out there. Mine are stronger and they don't have 1-to-4s. But 1-to-4s are not practical for most companies to make. And, people bitch enough about prices. Let me tell you, when you see an herbal formula in a store, it's about $24.95. You're at 1-to-6. It's rare to have a company, and Herbs Etc. might go 1-to-5. Not sure where they are. Blessed Herbs, when he owned that, was 1-to-5. Mine's 1-to-4, and you pay extra for that. And that's why ours should be like $28, $30 a bottle for us to have a decent profit. And it just, you see, we keep it down, and then we offer wholesale. So we have no profit there. And so you just have to understand that we are God people. We're only out there helping everybody we can for the help of it. We're not capitalists. Anybody that thinks that is just being a troll. But now we have the pure glandulars. Back several years ago, we had to take whatever we could find on the market. It was frustrating because I was calling them and saying, why don't you add herbs instead of isolates like calcium and mag? A little cal mag doesn't hurt anybody, but I don't like to use isolates. But if you had a little magnesium or a little calcium on something, so what? But, you always seek purity as much as you can, but it isn't always available. That's the other problem. So don't be a troll and, get off the petty stuff. It's the petty stuff. It's just not even worth it. It just shows people are unhappy with themselves. They have nothing better to do than troll the YouTubes and things and stuff like that. And it's like, there's no purpose in these people's lives. And it's like, open up to a higher level of expression and joy and working with people. If we have something that is not as pure as we can get, then we'll attempt to find it, which we already do. I'm always a hound dog at looking at products, but you don't have an unlimited access to these things. That's the problem. And overseas, it can even be worse. So, we do the very best. I think we're still lucky we have access to this and going to fight, to make sure that always exists. It's sad you have to think that way. Strange problem with my mom after surgery. Thank you for help and advice. I love the way you care about each case. Thanks, man. I tell you what, it's just, you have to understand that's where my heart is. And I think I see so many of you guys with the heart the same way, and that's why I just love being a club, being a group. Not only for the protection from the hound dogs that the negative forces that want to get you, but it's nice to belong and be friends with everybody. And that's what we have to do, is turn this world into a friendly world, a world where souls can come and have a little bit better time in their journey. But again, you've got the positive and negative, and that's why this world exists. It's how it exists, and a little low on the totem pole. My mother, who is 75, wow, against my advice, had chemo, radiation, and surgery for a lesion on her rectum. Now, that's not good. That's not good, because when you radiate the rectum, you burn the pelvic area, you're going to burn. And this concept of any radiologist or anybody tells you we can pinpoint cells like a 3D radiation, liar, liar, pants on fire. And I have cases where now one lady's passed from just what they did. She had eye cancer. They told her that they had this new 3D radiation. It would just pinpoint the cell in the eye, and she was a little, concerned, but they assured her that it just pinpoints those cells and no big deal. And 6 months to a year later, her brain was full of cancer, and they confirmed it was from the radiation. Was that worth it? I mean, that's the point. You have to ask yourselves when you go and you know that the therapy you're walking up to causes cancer, radiation causes cancer, and if no one believes that, I don't know where you've been. I remember Sloan Kettering had a problem with it in its initial stages because it said it damages tissue too much. Now you can get as much radiation as you can pay for probably at Sloan and everywhere else, because we don't have any ethics anymore. The medical profession has none. So, I mean, no offense to medical doctors, there's some great ones out there, and I love them. They're doing great work. But if you're using chemo or radiation, I don't love you, neither does anybody else. You stepped over the border. And this is the problem. You have to investigate what other tools we can use, because it isn't worth just radiating and chemo and destroying half the person's body, knowing that if you buy them any time, it's not going to be that long. And in some cases where they tell you it's going to give you another year or two by doing this, it actually cuts that in half. Things just explode. So, tough way to go here. She is now at 75 years old. 75 years old, and they gave her chemo. That right there is unconscionable. 75 years old, and you're giving this lady chemo and radiation. Most people at 75 years old can't come out of something like that. She is now recovering from the second surgery to reverse the ileostomy, absolutely, and among other things, it developed a very strange thing happening. She has air bubbles coming out of her urethra, and she is sure it is from the urethra. She also noticed today that she has a mucus brown discharge from there also, and that it happens when she is about to discharge fecal matter. Listen, anything and everything is up there. First of all, to have cancer in that area means that you have to have what system down? The lymphatic system, right? And that is mucus. Brown is just chronic level of this stuff, unless there's part fecal matter in it. But, you know, you can get black putrid mucus out of your bowels when you get to these higher levels of acidosis and toxemia. And so I'm not surprised at all she's getting this out. I think that it's good to get that out, unless the chemo is, of course, with being so acidic, can overstimulate the mucosa and cause a lot more mucus. Remember, we've researched and found that mucus is, of course, tumors full of this, and of course mucus is part of the interstitial fluids. It's all lipid based, and of course the mucosa. So mucus is always around cells when you have cancer. Why? And again, you have to understand protection. You know, life has its protection between the two sides of chemistry. Everything is buffered, even in chemistry, and that's why holistic chemistry is vital. And that's why this concept of alkaloids and damaging, like in comfrey and licorice and stuff, is just ridiculous. Because these plants are buffered, and they have been consumed for eons of time. But it's just another slick way. The FDA finds a way to limit that. It's kind of like, remember we talked about ephedra, and they blocked ephedra because ephedrine, the active principle in ephedra, killed a baseball player because he was taking diet pills with ephedrine in it. So they said, we're banning the whole plant. And thank God there is some honest federal judges. I probably could hold them in my hand, but this was the female, and I think in Texas somewhere she says, you can't do that, thank you. You know, we have to return to some semblance of ethics and righteousness and stuff. It's just, and you think about that in your own lives. You know, these negative forces want to get you to gossip and backbite, to tear down other people and stuff. Don't fall in that game. Don't judge anybody, because you'll have it back in your face. I don't judge anybody, because, you know, we all go up and down, and so why judge anybody for anything? It's none of your business, you know. And if you make it your business, you're taking on that karma, and it's like, oh no, I don't want no one else's karma. Heck no, you're trying to free yourself from that. That's why a true master never takes on someone's karma when they're helping them to God realization, because that wouldn't be suiting anybody's purpose. And yet there's some that's made this statement, well, we'll take on the karma and blah, blah, blah. And that's like, you run from those kind of people. All right, she has air bubble discharge, mucus brown discharge from also that happens when she is about to do fecal matter. All right, she has no control of the anal sphincter. Well, you know, they literally fry in the tissue there. So you're going to lose nerve tissue. You're going to lose the ability to have a tight sphincter. You're going to lose a lot of calcium in those areas in the body, trying to fight acidosis, both from radiation and from chemo. So this is a serious issue. At 75, giving her chemo and radiation, very serious issue. At 75, she'd have been better to have it cut out and had a colostomy and had a bag. I mean, because now, at 75, she's got to fight the destruction that they've done to her with this. And depends how her lymph system is, how strong her genes are. If she's she's 75, if she has a good, strong constitution, she might be able to come out of this a little bit if she goes all raw and gets her act straightened around right now. Not only did the allopathic community scare her into all this, they did not tell her many of the side effects. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. And you're going to, in most cases, remember, there's only 6% survival rate up to 5 years in oncology. And when an oncologist tells you different, that's when you want to say, could you show me your proof? Because the FDA has come out and said only 6%. So when someone says 50%, let me ask you, when you know all these movie stars and you see all these celebrities and all these news analysts and things that get cancer, how many of them survive chemo and radiation? 50%? You see one And I see this one black lady, I can't remember her name, she's on Fox News or something. She doesn't look good, and I tell you, she's fooling herself if she thinks chemo and radiation cured her. Anybody that thinks chemo and radiation is a curative factor is smoking something real bad in the back room, because this is not how it is. And truth is not told to people, and scare tactics is how they're used. And I find this just, truth is truth. And sometimes when I'm being truthful to our clients, sometimes they take a little, but you know what? You got to be able to handle truth. And if you can't handle truth, get off the pot, because that's coming in a big way to this planet. And all the ones that decide not to are going to be exposed. This is what's happening right now. Okay, I hear you say all the time how angry it makes you, and this is just another blatant example of their abuse. Absolutely. And it's your mother. So you'll see what I mean as the suffering goes up and everything else. If you can pop her on an all raw food diet, use some implants. I would use some implants of Heal All Tea. That's for dang sure, because you got a little drawing power with the plantain. You got a lot of healers, so you want to do some implants. Not enough to create constant bowel movements, but this is the colorectal cancer, I take it. So you want to insert Heal All Tea just enough in there and have her hold that as much as she can to let that tea absorb through the mucosa and start some healing and some cleansing. And so she's going to get some mucus out of that rectal area, and she could discharge through the vaginal area as well. That's possible. But you're saying that possibly out of the urine too. With burning of all this, you just, pelvic area, I mean, it's just what we see. I researched this today and only found forums where a lot of women complained about this and their doctors treated them like they were crazy. I don't think the allopathic community has enough self-awareness to realize what they're doing. There's some good medical doctors. We had 3 in our class. I really applaud them. We have some great medical doctors using our formulas, but you've got to, if you're a medical doctor, you've got to get out and change your ways, because some stuff is going to come back real hard on you, and that's going to be chemo and radiation. There's a top oncologist in Miami who has said before and made the statement that chemo and radiation is our darkest days, and that was a top oncologist. So this is crazy. I know she is acidic and burning, and now she's really burning. I keep trying to turn her to the Wellville path. Well, you do the best you can. You know what? Sometimes you watch your own parents pass, from being stubborn and unaware. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you know what? God love her. Fear drives us to do some things that might not be so good for us. And I understand that. No judgment. But now we got to grab your mother and fix her, so you can let her view this video if you want, but she's got to grab raw foods if she wants to have any life at all, because they burn the holy crap out of her whole bottom in there. So who knows what all you're going to see. It's a flip of the coin. And losing the sphincter, losing all this, but you can tone and tighten and get in there. So you can implant some greens maybe, but I would really implant the Heal All Tea. Herbs that heal and soothe and are anti-acid, anti-inflammatory. And that's a stomach tea, or the Heal All Tea, or combine the two. Real healing to the mucosa. So I'd really do that. Hit her on a raw food diet and go up with the fruit. Forget the vegetables. And especially with a bowel like this, I wouldn't. Because it's going to be in her liver, it's going to be in her pancreas. So you want to get her on a high fruit and berry melon diet. You give her some steamed vegetables. You have to have something just for a cheat or something like that, Judy. And really go. My blessings to you guys and to your mom. If she gets focused, who knows? She's 75. She might have good genes. That would be everything working for her. And then you go after this. You got to go back after the cause of this. And so the kidneys are involved. Adrenals are involved. But at 75, they're always involved. Thanks, Judy. Club member hoping to get read for some help. Absolutely. Jay, you got it, man. I have a bit of a crisis I'm going through, and I've been searching for answers, and I find it amazing that when you really and truly want something and you're in a space to listen, and answers will come. Did I read this the other day? You're right, though. Did I read this? Because I think I read this the other day. I came across your YouTube page 70 days ago today. I became a raw vegan 40 of those days. I think I read this. On my right testicle, there's a growth. I did read this. All right, so I did read this. I don't have to read this again. But Jay, hit it, baby. Hit it. We don't like anything down there like that, do we? Huh? This is from Liz. Hey, honey. Last night something happened on Facebook which I found quite disturbing. A few of us were doing the Master Cleanse together and someone posted an observation regarding the saltwater flush. A few are doing it. A few aren't, and we all are aware that you do not recommend it. Well, the thing is, you can get extremely dehydrated and unbalance your sodium-potassium levels. And that's how you get good osmosis. You get good movement of nutrients across the cell wall when you have the sodium-potassium movement like that. You know, where you get... It's hard to explain chemistry that way, but it's easy to understand when you have a void, things are going to be pulled in the void because nature doesn't like a void. So where you have dense chemistry, heavy chemistry in something, it'll pull itself into the less dense spaces. So this is controlled a lot by potassium and sodium. So you have a lot going on there. And drinking salt water, if you look at any of these survival programs, the one thing they tell you, and you know that because we live in Florida, out on the salt water, you don't do salt waters. Because you won't live long. You'll dehydrate out and that's it. So I'm really not in favor of that sort of thing. I don't know why you do it and why you would even need it. I mean, salt is alkalizing, no question, but you'd be better to do the bicarbonate, the sodium baking soda, than to go to salt like that. Can cause some problems there that you might not like. My question is, are you okay with people doing and discussing things that you don't recommend? Oh, yeah. If you guys want to do that, it's up to you. But for you guys that know better, be strong. Because some people, like I was saying yesterday on the video, even though it was a long video, but sometimes when we lack experience and we don't rationalize things, we fall into things because it's fun and exciting and there's new doorways. I don't blame anybody. This is a new world. When you open the door, true door of God and natural healing and everything, it's just so full of fun and energy and light and everything sounds good. The problem is though, you've got to have common sense. You can't isolate chemistry and play too much in that world because we're a victim of that, both in pharmacopoeia land and in supplements. We have to be very careful. Go holistic. Have fun with the fruits and the different levels of fruits. Have fun with the fastings and things like this. Even with the lemon juice. But lemon juice, remember, real strong. You can get limited out, so to speak. But it's enough to say, you discuss all you want, but be strong. Our site, I just have to stand up for truth every time, and you just have to think things out when you play with these things. And salt water is not something to be consumed much of. People do it, but generally we do it as mouthwashes and things like this. We don't actually swallow the salt and unbalance the chemistry there. So got to be a little careful with that, you know, and some of the things we do. And dry fasting the same way. Just be cautious because, you know, everything is fun and you dig in and you go and you want to do that. But there's some things you want to just be practical about, you know, because make the fun things spiritual. Because this is a very simple, straightforward approach to getting well without compromising things in your body by, you know, doing things like salt water and drinking way too much water and using high alkaline water and things like this. This can only get you in trouble. You know, when you mess with pHs too much, especially when blood is involved, death can come real easy. So you can end up in the ER. So keeping blood stable chemistry is eating stable chemistry. You know, and stable chemistry for the Homo sapien is fruits, berries, and melons. You can have some vegetables if you want it, but that's why we invented cooking in the first place. No one likes to sit there and chew on grass or kale too long. It's hard to digest. If you gave me a big hunk of kale and I look over here with a ripe mango about this big off a tree, there's no question which one I'm going to. And I think 90% of the kids would too or more. It's just, you know, our intuitiveness is toward things that are sweet and taste good and make us feel good, make us feel light. You know, a lot of people feel like they want to feel full and heavy. No, you don't. When you go back the other way, you don't want to feel that way because it just brings you down. You want to feel light as a feather. You don't even want to know that you have a physical body. I'm serious. You want to have such an alkaline body, such a good body, hydrated and filtering in the kidneys, that you don't even know you have it. Energy is there's no obstructions or minimal obstructions to the flow of currents, which is blood, nerve, and lymph, and of course the spirit side of that. And so once you open the door and there's no obstructions, you don't know you have I walk around up here all the time. I don't even know I have something down below me. And even if you're hurting, you want to keep working with consciousness to put you away from your body sometimes. Now, I'm saying this because last night one lady got so upset that she threatened to leave the group, saying how much it had changed and that she was concerned that you'd be up for death liability and other strange stuff, which was honestly bordering on paranormal. But I'll say this. I can understand where she's coming, for this individual's coming from. And that's why we must be careful about the David Wolf syndromes, like I was telling you the other day, and Harvey Diamond's syndromes. Because now these guys, not David yet, but Harvey Diamond's in trouble. So this is some serious stuff. And we want to keep a pure sight. You know, if you want to do these things on your own, I'm just caution to the wind. Because she's right. You can get yourself in serious trouble doing things that are out there a little bit. You just want common sense. And just think about it on survival programs. No one goes out and drinks salt water. That's a huge no-no. Death will be very quick. So you don't play with those kind of games like that, you know. I'm definitely opposed to that sort of thing. I would like to think, because I don't want anybody's hurt or harmed. I want us to be a strong group because we are paving a road of understanding in the intellectual community that's not there. And you want to be part of that representative of that because you're changing the consciousness. And sometimes you can't just be the kid in the woods and playing and going on. You want to take responsibility. And you younger guys, life is going to ask more of you quicker because you're higher advanced souls. You are. Most of you are higher advanced souls, so you're going to be asked to step up to the plate quicker than, say, I was 20, but still, and I look back on it and I go, wow, I was that young. Some people don't turn on to this until their 50s, 60s, or 70s, and so by the time they turn on to this, go, oh, I've lived my life, and, it's getting, toward the end. And so we want to show the world that we're scientific, in true science, we're ethical, we use common sense, we're not bizarre, we're not way out there, because those people don't last long and they get bad names. And we want to be strong in who we are, represented ourselves to the public, because that's how you get people to go, oh wow, I'm going to try them. Because there are very smart people out there that don't like game playing and things like this. And so if we just keep it, nice and keep our love going and keep ethics going and not get too far out on trying things that could have a harmful effect, Just my takes on this. I would like to think that you would rather us be open-minded, and I totally want you to be open-minded. And discussion is perfect. Socratean discussion, Plato, absolutely. Who cares? And it is good. If some of these things you should discuss way before you try, if some people are crazy out there and they want to try this, you can't stop them from doing that. But there's some things you just want to be careful with. And consuming salt water be one of them as far as I'm concerned there. But I'd rather you all be open-minded. And some of you have not had the experiences, of course, and that's okay. But that's what I'm here for, to help you with that. And if you don't, trust what I say, then try it. But, caution to the wind. Caution to the wind, because some things don't make any sense, We can't go just take salt water and drink it. I would like open-hearted healers as opposed to Robert Morris devotees that can't think for themselves. Agreed totally with that. Agreed totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. We all are devotees to each other. But some of these people are trying to keep it pure, too. So you have to realize that, sweetheart, Liz. We're just trying to keep it pure because, part of the reason natural health is frowned on by society as a rule, because allopathy has set themselves up as some super educated super knowledgeable people, and yet they can't cure anything, and everything is an autoimmune or some bull crap concept like that, meaning they don't know what the hell is it. So we have to come forth with a similar but a much more practical and truth understanding of how the body works. And of course, we can prove it because most of you guys are healing yourselves right up. And that shows you. But being stable in that is vital in what our goal is in changing the world. If we get too far out on some of these limbs, then we're looked upon as a radical group that doesn't have any basis, because almost everybody knows salt water isn't consumable. I'd love your thoughts on this, because sadly I can get a little nasty as well as very weird on Facebook, as you have some followers who treat you like an absolute god and can't cope with anyone saying anything that goes against your teachings. Well, I appreciate that, Liz, I really do. But I also appreciate that you guys that are guardians at the door. I'll say that. I see where Liz is coming completely. I understand her, and we don't want to be so closed that we don't open and have discussions. Absolutely, no way. But I also appreciate those that are guardians of the gate, because we have to be guardians of our healing modality and what we see. If we start just getting, wild on the Facebook and trying all these things, things could, people could hurt themselves. And so I see both sides of this, so let's agree to come into a state of balance with it, Liz. We have the guardians, which we need, always need, and love. I love all of you that are guardians of us and myself. I love you for that, but I love the Liz's who also understand that we also have to have an open discussion. But an open discussion always must be civil and nice. That's what a discussion is. You don't want to get too caught up in that, because we need to protect each other. So I do enjoy the people that are protecting us and protecting our way of thinking, because it is important to protect that. We can have discussions on salt waters and too much waters and things like this, but we don't have to get too carried away about it. And if someone has an opinion that don't do it, then that's their opinion. But there's reasons why we don't do things like that. But other things that I love bringing up new things on Facebook and on things, and you bring them up here on this forum as well, because we need to investigate and go through these things. And I'm not above learning and growing, not at all, not at all. But there's some things that one just doesn't do, and there's reasons why. So outside of that, we all agree to love each other, protect each other, and also to have great discussions without being too weird about it. Because we don't have to be weird about having discussions. We can have just discussions and honesty. If people choose to try these things, can't change it, then they choose to do it outside of our teachings here, because it's not part of our teachings. And no one gets in trouble for it. We're in the club. This is not in the club. These are my own personal, in America, my constitutional right to have my opinion heard. And so, these are all my opinions and the things that I would do and the things that I've seen in all my years of working with others, and both you guys are seeing all these people getting their cures. If we get too radical and too far out, though, it can change, and then we have serious problems and we fall apart, and I don't like that either. So Liz, you got to understand that we have to have some stability with the guardians. At the same time, the guardians, we must be open to allow conversation. If it gets nasty, that's when we cut it off, because there's no need to be nasty about anything. If someone disagrees, they just disagree. And if they disagree, let them try it. They're going to find out for themselves. The worst thing is to find out something that really hurts you and that's what I'm trying to guard against, is simply does not hurt yourselves too much in trying things that are bizarre, and someone had an opinion like that. Like 60 bananas a day. Someone try eating 60 bananas a day, or even 30 bananas. I've got to go in a minute, so I apologize. This is just a quick video, but I'm glad that, Liz, you put that out there, because I need to thank you, guardians, for helping and watching, but also thank the Liz's out there, too. So let's agree to be into a balance about this and have good discussions, because you're going to have the radicals coming in and wanting to pull it away. It's the negative forces, and any of us, including myself, can get caught up in that if we're not careful. I do myself, especially when I see people getting hurt. It can take me off my spiritual game a little bit, because I've always had this extreme compassion for people that are suffering. And I know it's karma driven, but we can help those souls get rid of that karma and find out how you create new good stuff and work yourselves up out of these depths. But so many of you are high spiritual souls, and just realize that you're powerful. You come in here, keep things simple, and you will then have more power to help. If you get too complicated, the mind will suck your power out of you by isolating your thinking and getting into radical thought forms that lead you nowhere. So be real careful and guard at the gate of your consciousness too, that the mind is out there. You're always the watcher at the gate. Remember those things in spirituality. Hi, Robert. My name is Carl from North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I absolutely love your videos, and I love you and where you live. I've watched about 100 of them. Wow. I intend to watch them all, and the knowledge that I am picking. Oh, that's great, my friend. I have a question about filtering. Just because I'm not filtering huge chunks of mucus, can we still filter out? Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, sometimes you hardly even see it, but you're still filtering the kidneys, particularly if your urine is acidic. If you don't see any sediment, it's real clear, and your urine is alkaline, little trouble in Big Texas or whatever. You know, it just means that you're not filtering even the kidneys, and that can be troublesome. But on a raw food diet, your urine can turn alkaline for a while, and I feel that's a great thing God kind of set up, because that'll help to heal the kidneys for a little while until filtration takes place. It's actually how you probably get the kidneys to filter, is keeping that urine a little alkaline while the mucosa and everything, the kick to the kidneys. The alkaline kick back to the kidneys can probably help to create more filtration. So everything is for a reason, and you just have to figure out why that would be. When you see a chemical action or reaction taking place, then you can figure it out when you understand there's a war between acid and base, and you know, if acids win, we're not happy or dead. You know, and so it's just that balance. Because it's all just, remember I said life is fluctuation of pHs here in chemistry, and the dominance on the base or alkaline side is essential to have healthy life, and to keep fluids flowing well and filtering well and all that. We unfortunately have been eating acidically on top of all the acids the body produces, and nothing ever comes up with acid on top of acid, like this 75-year-old lady that's got acid on top of acid now. Now that you know, this concept of treating acidosis with extreme acidosis is criminal. There's no other word but criminal to do that. Again, if you give someone Drano, you're going to jail. You know what I'm saying? So let me see what else. But again, even without seeing lots of sediment, can you still be toxic? Yes, absolutely. Good question. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. But not as much as you would like. And that's the point. I got to finish these up tomorrow. But I think tomorrow I'm going to come in and we're going to do eyes. I want to catch up on all your eyes you sent in. I know I've had them for a while. I apologize for that. But there's so many questions. Some of you get in trouble. And so, but, you know, you can always call here if you have a serious problem and you want to deal with it quicker than I can get to you over the YouTube here. So, I love each and every one of you guys. Let's keep it strong, let's keep it pure, let's keep it honest, let's keep it civilized, and love each other. You know, there's no reason to get out of balance with that. Thanks for the guardians. You always have to have guardians, though. And so we're all guardians of each other. Love you all. Got to run. But I will see you I don't see what this afternoon runs into. But tomorrow, I do want to come in and shoot some eye pictures and go over that. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a fun day, guys. And hug everybody. Give everybody a nice hug.